Could you ever forget betrayal? Imagine this. 11 years of marriage, a child, hopes, a future, and then, in a single moment, everything unravels. The main character of the story is just an average guy, someone who worked hard, loved his family, and did his best. But behind his back, a different story was unfolding. Suspicious messages, strange coincidences, and a single confession from his son turned his entire world upside down. What's it like to uncover the truth when you least expect it? More importantly, what do you do after? Pain, deception, and yet the possibility of a new life already waiting to begin. Want to know how he dealt with it all? Hello, my friend. I'm so happy you're here on my channel. If it's your first time visiting, don't forget to subscribe and like this video. Each like truly motivates me. And please let me know which city and country you're watching this from. Now, let's dive into the story. Both my wife and I are 35 years old, and we've been married for about 11 years. We live in a town that used to be rural, but is quickly transforming into a suburban extension of a growing metropolitan city. When we graduated high school, our class had just over 200 students. Now that number has more than doubled to nearly 500. I was raised on a farm by my father after my mother left when I was young and never returned. From an early age, I helped out with farm chores, working alongside my dad until he decided to lease the land to other farmers and take a factory job instead. The income from the land leases allowed him to buy more property during the Great Recession. One of those properties had a house, which he let me renovate and turn into a home for my future family. Although the property remains in a trust along with the rest of his land, my wife and I are responsible for the expenses related to it. My wife, on the other hand, came from a lower middle-class background. Her family was always warm and welcoming toward me, treating me with kindness and respect. They moved to our town when we were in junior high, and we started dating in high school. After I secured stable employment, we got married. Before that, I worked whatever jobs I could find, hauling junk, painting houses, anything that would pay the bills. We now have an 8-year-old son, and my wife stays home to take care of him. I work as a route driver for a major snack company, steadily expanding my territory to ensure our products reach every local shop, grocery store, and gas station in the area. Since much of the region is still rural, my route covers a large area. The long-term plan was for my wife to eventually take over a second truck as our business grew. With a new supercenter grocery store expected to open next year, gaining full ownership of my route could be a huge opportunity for us. We've been together since shortly after high school, and while our marriage has been full of love, it hasn't been without its challenges, especially because of my demanding work hours. I try to be present, but I often fall short. Even so, we share a lot of happiness, and we both adore our son. He's your typical energetic kid, diving into sports. He played basketball in the winter, baseball in the spring, and now he's all about flag football. This past spring, our marriage hit a rough patch. We recognized the tension between us and had a heart-to-heart conversation, vowing to work on our relationship. From late April to mid-June, our intimacy soared, and we couldn't get enough of each other. Honestly, I could barely keep up, juggling both work and our renewed passion. Still, I managed to stay on top of my route while our son was fully immersed in baseball season. I never miss a game, but my demanding work schedule kept me from attending many practices. It's common for dads to volunteer as assistant coaches, but that wasn't an option for me. My wife, though, stepped up whenever she was needed. Our son's baseball coach, Benjamin, had been married to one of my close friends from high school, Miranda. She was the brightest person in our class, and after college, she met Benjamin. They married young and had a son the same age as ours. Unfortunately, their marriage ended 3 years ago, and Miranda moved back to town, relying on her parents for help with childcare. Benjamin followed about a year later, presumably to be closer to his son, maybe even hoping to reconcile with Miranda. By June, my wife and I started to fall back into our old routines. In July, we had another serious conversation, reaffirming our commitment to one another. We even went on vacation, hoping it would help us reconnect, but the spark between us remained inconsistent. Then in mid-August, things heated up again, only for the passion to fizzle out by September. Around this time, our son started flag football and absolutely loved it. One evening, I stopped by a practice and was surprised to see my wife standing next to Benjamin, clipboard in hand, helping to run drills. Several other dads were also involved. Later that evening, when I asked her about it, our son eagerly corrected me. She wasn't just helping, she was officially a coach. Apparently, when she signed him up, she had volunteered for the role. It quickly became a huge time commitment for her. She was always on her phone, mostly texting and sometimes making calls. When I was around, it was mostly just texts. Every day after school, she and our son went to Benjamin's house, where he trained both boys in football. Their extra practice was paying off. Our son and Benjamin's son were becoming standouts on the team. Then came the first game. After finishing my shift that morning, I arrived at the field to watch my wife and Benjamin standing side by side, giving instructions to the team. As I sat down, someone placed a chair next to mine. Miranda, we watched the game together. And at halftime, she turned to me with a serious look and asked how my marriage was going. I told her everything was fine, but she didn't seem convinced. After a brief pause, Miranda shared something her son had told her. On a rainy afternoon when training was canceled, the boys had stayed inside playing video games at Benjamin's house. At one point, her son went to the kitchen to get more juice and accidentally saw Benjamin and my wife kissing. Shocked, he quickly ran back to the game and later confided in Miranda. That night, something inside me changed. I woke up at 4 a.m. as usual to drive 45 minutes to my warehouse for my shift. But that Monday, I set my alarm even earlier, 3:30 a.m. While my wife was still sleeping, I grabbed her phone. After several failed attempts, I finally cracked her passcode. As I scrolled through her messages, I found an endless thread of texts, some explicit, along with revealing photos. She had sent without hesitation. I took screenshots of the evidence. From that moment on, everything changed. I usually reserved a day each week to spend in town, but occasionally I'd return home for lunch. During times when our closeness seemed to be at its peak, I would surprise her, yet more than once, when I called to check in, I'd find the house empty. My calls went unanswered, and more than once while driving past Benjamin's house, I noticed her car parked there. I spotted her car parked in Benjamin's driveway as I finished my workday. When I confronted her later, she claimed she had been out shopping. She apologized for not being home when I arrived, and I reassured her that my visit was simply an unplanned surprise, nothing to be concerned about. The following week, I decided to make my visit home for lunch intentional. I informed her ahead of time, parked a short distance from Benjamin's place, and waited. Somehow, she didn't notice my truck. A few minutes later, she rushed out, got in her car, and sped off toward home. I followed at a normal speed, and by the time I entered the house, she was already in the kitchen preparing a sandwich for me. We had a light-hearted conversation over lunch. That Saturday after my son's game, I took him home to change before dropping him off at my father's place for a fishing trip. If he felt like it, he could even swim. Once again, when I returned home, she wasn't there. I drove past Benjamin's house, and just as expected, her car was parked outside. I called her, and when she finally answered, she sounded annoyed. I asked her what she was doing there, but there was silence on the other end. I told her to get dressed and come home. By the time she arrived, I was already sitting at the table waiting. She stormed in, furious, and yelled at me for even suggesting something was wrong. I calmly asked her to sit down. She refused, growing more defensive, but I spoke with authority, telling her to stop yelling and take a seat. I had something to show her. I had a folder with me. She demanded to know what was inside, but I insisted she sit first. Then, one by one, I laid screenshots of her text messages in front of her. Her anger grew as she berated me for going through her phone, but when I revealed explicit photos, she fell silent. That was it. I told her she had until the following Sunday to gather her things. On Monday, I'd be meeting with a lawyer. She needed to pack her clothes and personal items. The rest could be handled later. She broke down crying and apologizing over and over. I asked her a question I had seen on an advice thread. What did you think was going to happen? She had no answer. There was nothing left to say. Since then, I've been staying at my father's house. On Sunday, I brought my son back home so he could catch the school bus the next morning. I explained to him that while his mother and I wouldn't be living together anymore, he would still stay in his home. That evening, when I returned, all of her things were gone. We had agreed that she would pick up our son after school. She had the option to either stay with him at the house until I returned or take him to her parents' place. Regardless of what had transpired, she was still his mother, and we would have to co-parent. The divorce is now in motion. She will officially be served next week, but I won't humiliate her by having the papers delivered publicly. I've already told her they're coming. She asked to retrieve a few more items from the house, but my lawyer advised against it. If she wanted anything, she could file a formal request with the court. I don't have strong attachments to most of the household items, so she will likely get whatever she asks for. What's interesting is that she doesn't want clothing or makeup. People often ask me what she's doing now. She's living at her parents' house, and my son spends his afternoons there until I finish work. I've made a point to leave by 5 p.m. to avoid working extra hours. My lawyer is also coordinating with another attorney to ensure my business day is protected during the divorce. Even my father has stepped in, offering to buy my work route and keep me on as an employee if necessary. I understand child support is inevitable and custody will be shared. The nights feel lonelier after my son goes to bed, but I'm finding ways to keep myself busy. A few personal projects have helped me focus. Friends have rallied around me, offering to babysit or bring over meals. Last Saturday, instead of spreading out along the sidelines, most of the parents pulled their chairs closer to mine. That meant a lot. We only have one more game before playoffs, and the season will wrap up next. Basketball season begins soon. Every parent I've spoken to plans to request that Benjamin not be assigned as their child's coach. People have also asked about Miranda. She's been a close friend for years, and some wonder if we'll end up together. Right now, I'm still healing from everything that happened. My main focus is adjusting to this new reality and being there for my son. I once mentioned that Miranda was the smartest student in our class. She truly is exceptional, but I feel like I'd only hold her back. Besides, we're both going through a lot. Her ex even moved back recently, perhaps in an attempt to reconcile. This story has come to an end. Trust is the foundation of any relationship, but once broken, it's almost impossible to rebuild. Betrayal isn't just about infidelity. It's about destroying everything that was built over the years. When problems arise in a marriage, they should be faced together, not avoided through deceit. The truth always comes out, and once trust is shattered, things will never be the same. But betrayal doesn't have to be the end. It's an opportunity to reflect, learn, and move forward toward a future built on honesty, respect, and real love. What's your opinion? Share in the comments, my friend. If you like this story, check out other exciting videos on my channel. I'll say goodbye for now, and see you in the next video. So guys, if you all like today's story, please like the video and subscribe to our channel. And don't forget to press the bell icon. Thank you for watching.